Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to make my own input on the debate of the Appropriation 2025 Bill 2024, which commonly is referred to as the bill that provides legislative support for the budget for the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, federal government that is, for the year 2025. Madam Speaker, this bill specifically speaks to the appropriation of monies that would have been granted to His Majesty the King for and during the period of 1 year commencing from the 1st day of January 2025 and ending on the 31st day of December 2025. And the appropriation of some $1 billion, $1,009,136,484 over and above the sums that are granted and provided for under the acts and other laws in force in St. Christopher and Nevis, and which are to be applied, Madam Deputy Speaker, and expended in the manner and the services set forth in the schedule attached to this piece of legislation. There are some sums that are charged to the consolidated fund, and the sum of $1,936,484 shall be, and the same is hereby declared to be charged upon and payable from and out of the consolidated fund. The bill also provides authority for the Accountant General of our country, and as is required of him from time to time, to make several payments on services, and the same shall be pursued having received the appropriate order and support from this piece of legislation. And then the schedule, Madam Deputy Speaker, outlines the expenses that would be provided by law, looking at the various ministries, and in particular also looking at the expenditure amounts that would be used to service the services, to pay for the services that the ministries will be providing to the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. It also outlines, Madam Deputy Speaker, in Part 2 of the schedule, what is described as the capital expenditure and net lending. And the total capital expenditure, as we have seen, is $209,401,991. And the total recurrent capital and net lending charges on the consolidated fund, same fund that I mentioned earlier, Madam Deputy Speaker, would be some $1,009,136,444, which then, to a large extent, gives us an idea of what is expected to be spent on capital projects, what would be spent on the services that government would have to, that would have to be provided to the government, and also, of course, the amount that is provided by law, which is $117,942,371, which, to a large extent, Madam Deputy Speaker, speaks to the arithmetic of the budget. Madam Deputy Speaker, I was not privileged yesterday to be here to hear the contributions on the debate, because I had to travel to Antigua and Barbuda, as I'm sure you would have been told, for the funeral of Honorable Asset Michael, a member of the Parliament until his death, and a former Minister of Government in Antigua as well. Has been a good friend, not only of this government, but of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, and a friend of several others, I'm sure, who are on the opposite side as well. He being a person very kind, very generous, very supportive of whatever there is of the Labour parties in the Caribbean region. And I thought it was important on behalf of this government to show representation at his funeral and at his burial that took place yesterday. So I apologize for not being here to hear from my own colleagues their contributions, and also my colleagues on this side and also colleagues on the other side of the House in terms of the contribution to the debate that would have taken place on this very important budget. Madam Speaker, the budget as presented by the mover of the bill, Prime Minister and member for constituency number 8, Minister of Finance, is of 55 pages, relatively of the same size that we would have witnessed before. There was, in fact, a theme around which the budget was prepared and presented, and that is innovation, inclusivity, and sustainability, which outlines the important strategic path that our development will take place over the next year and continuing into several years, but of course being set in this particular budget at this particular time based on the circumstances that we are facing at this time. And then we've also heard the term powering progress. Yes. Because at the end of the day, Madam Deputy Speaker, it is the progress of this destiny, of this country, that we are empowering. with our resources, which are resources that would have come from our taxpayers, resources that would have been derived from borrowings according to what is allowed by law, and resources which are gifts from friendly countries and organizations which are engaged in the development of St. Kitts and Nevis with us. Madam Deputy Speaker, we are therefore at a particular point in our development. I want to recall that we were not always where we are today. In fact, I remember back in 1995 when we took office, that is, the Labour government came back into office after being out for 15 years. Our determination was not to discard everything that there was, but to see how we could save what there was, especially if we had seen there being beneficial for the progress of our country, and build on those to ensure that we would have a better future. One of the challenges that we faced at that time, Madam Deputy, was the troubling, aging, debt-ridden sugar industry, where sugar was king in St. Kitts and Nevis for over 400 years, where it powered the economy of our country. Of course, there were clear indications that the need for progress and change and for building and expanded development, there were several instances where that was going to be necessary. And even though the government would have started, I'm sure, on that path, luckily it was left to us, coming in 1995, to ensure that we would move forward in a positive way for the benefits of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. 10 years after attempting to resuscitate a dying industry, after almost a national debt of over 180% of GDP, we came to the conclusion that this was not sustainable, and we therefore placed greater emphasis on the diversification of the economy away from sugar, ensuring that the tourism sector was properly developed, building on the cruise pier that was already in the making, building on the airport, which obviously had to be expanded, and seeing what we could do with lands that had been identified for development in the Southeast Peninsula, but which we had not really found a very strong force of development to take it forward. The highway was built. We had some of the services put in, water lines, reservoirs, IT resources, but there was very little that was taking place there. We saw the potential for Frigate Bay to continue on the very important development path that it was set by giants like national heroes, Caleb Azariah Paul Southwell, Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, those who had foreseen that sugar will die and therefore had to be replaced with something else. Sugar had died earlier in Nevis, and Nevis had begun its own diversification. We had, of course, the farms, the estates, which were government-owned, sugarcane, which would have been abandoned, now became very important for agricultural development, diversified agriculture, including livestock. And, of course, with the constitutional developments that took place, those lands belong to the people of Nevis, managed by the government for the people. And here in St. Kitts, we had taken a different path where we had nationalized earlier the sugar lands, which were thus ripe for further development, especially after the failure of the sugar industry and the need to have it closed. So the point I'm trying to make, Madam Deputy, is that if you look at the historical development of our country over the years, you will see that from time to time, we've had to stop, assess, and plan and move forward again, which is exactly what is happening at this particular time. The basic infrastructure was there, but there have been challenges and setbacks from time to time, as what we've seen. COVID, for example. Look at where we are today in the tourist industry in terms of cruise visitors. We are just attaining the levels that we had already attained before COVID. And so we've had, to some extent, a setback, just as we had seen setbacks in the past. I had that task, Madam Deputy, to steer a new path forward. Ensured that we transitioned out of sugar agriculture to diversified agriculture. We believe really that more should have been done in the 7 years preceding us. But we are where we are. And so it is now our own responsibility and duty to plan that way forward for agriculture. And that has been echoed in this parliament from both sides. Agriculture, therefore, becomes one of the important sectors that we believe can make a difference, can turn our young people's minds into what can become a productive sector, throwing back behind us all those distractions of slavery associated with land for agriculture. As he said several times, not yesterday, wasn't yesterday, before, that these lands made millionaires of British people. So why can't these lands make millionaires of our people today? And so we speak of agriculture in a very positive and developmental way in moving us forward. Madam Speaker, it is critical that we therefore understand where we are today. And we have come here at this stage, preparing for the year 2025. The mover of the bill has presented a budget which has the full support of this parliament, apart from some distractions in talk. Full support. And it means, therefore, Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, that it shall go forward. But the debate of where we are and how we think we should go forward is critical. And that is why, over the last few days, we have been hearing and listening, because we are the government, listening and hearing what the comments are with regard to this budget as presented. There seems to be some noise about, oh, well, the expenditure is more than the revenue expected. So it's a deficit budget. So what? I've had several deficit budgets, but I never cloaked them and tried to fool the people by saying, oh, surplus budget. Deficit is deficit, surplus is surplus. And we, therefore, have been very realistic in our approach to how we are going to move forward from where we are to where we say we want to reach, because we must reach there. I mentioned earlier that in 1995 we met certain things, and we expanded, we adopted, we didn't discard everything. And one of the things that we met was our constitutional requirement in giving citizenship. We met in 1995. We met a situation where the Constitution provided for investment in specific areas, gives the right to the minister to grant citizenship. And there was developed the Citizenship by Investment program. Sorry, really sorry. Sometimes it's not good to have too many phones. No, this one, Saudi Arabia. I'm the comeback man. Anyway, so I was saying that the Constitution made that provision, and we adopted it. I went around the world showing people that if you make significant investment in our country and you are clean, you don't have any criminal record, and your money is good, you can make a contribution, and we would invite you to live among us as a citizen. And that's how the SIDF was created. When we decided to close the sugar industry, we needed money, we needed financing. So a company called Henley & Partners came in, looked at what we were doing, made suggestions. Had my good friend in Dominica at that time, Prime Minister James of Dominica, came with him, and we sat down with the cabinet and we mapped out what then became the SIDF, Edison James of Dominica. We have used the revenue from that program to wipe off that debt which I told you about earlier. 187% of GDP. Our debt was one of the highest in the world. That was brought down, so that when we left office, some 20 years after, it was just about 78% of GDP. And today I want to commend those architects, those in the Ministry of Finance, financial secretaries, Ambassador Lawrence, Janet Harris, President Hillary Hazel, and all those in the Ministry of Finance and other supporting departments and ministries which worked to ensure that that became a successful program and performed in the way we expected it to perform. in getting us out of debt and thus plan the path for a new development paradigm that we are now on the cusp of providing. And so I want to speak to how important it is to have continuity in government. Because we were disrupted for 7 years. Will of the people can be disruptive sometimes, isn't it? Freedom, your rights. But during that period, there was, I would say, instability. If the government brain is not functioning properly, because there has to be this constant worry about political power and who is in charge, the people's business is sacrificed. And all those things that we left there, all those pathways that we had already mapped out for our development, were shocked and disrupted. But God is not asleep. And the people of St. Kitts and Nevis are alive. We say we have 98% literacy rate. We understand. And our people felt that in 2022, this ain't going to work. A new government. Today, member for number 8, Minister of Finance, Prime Minister, mover of this bill, has been given the responsibility of leading us onto that new pathway. How do we do it? What is happening so far over the last 2.5 years since we've been given that new mandate? Are we doing it in the way people expect it? Is there anything that we need to include that we are not including? I've listened attentively for the last few days that I sat here to what the members of the opposition side will say. Because all of them have been in government before. And so they must understand the challenges that we are facing as a people. It is ridiculous to ask, where the money there? But you know where the money is? Where the money there? Well, you know where it there? That's how you take all them things the people out there saying. So answer yourself the question that you ask. Smile, Madam Deputy Speaker. Serious business. But that is it, because you think that it is some joke people play, asking ridiculous questions. Well, if the SIDF was closed and the citizenship program has been taken through hoops and loops, well, you ask the question, ask yourself. Ask yourself, how many hotels are you leaving in your name? Where they be?
Zero.
Prospects of a glorious prison ain't even come yet. So that is why, Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, I am really concerned about the seriousness with which we conduct our business. The Minister, from time to time, Finance, spoken of the disappearance of money in the development bank. And so, the question that maybe we need to ask is, what are you going to do about it, boss? That's it. So this is a debate, this is a discussion. You ask questions, we provide answers. We have questions to ask as well, we will ask. And you provide answers. Given a 13% increase in salaries for public servants, and then one member on the other side that he think that he gonna go to court against us to take that, we can't go to court for what he take as well. You understand? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Increase in salaries have taken place. And you are saying that you believe that we should be taken to court for the increase in salaries that took place. That increase was already determined by the former administration. I wouldn't even say unity administration, I'd say the PLP. I'm not sure if unity was in that. And so, Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, of course, we have to be realistic in determining how we are going forward based on where we are. And one of the things that I have noted in this particular budget is that it addresses the challenges that we are faced with today. And that is why, Madam Speaker, permit me to go through what would then be my own responsibility as a minister in achieving all these very important objectives, in realizing where we are and what it is that we need to do, and what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Trade, Industry, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, and Economic Development and Investment, what role we are playing and how much we are focused on achieving what has been described in this budget as being innovative, as being inclusive, and in being sustainable in our attempts to map our way forward for a brighter future for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. This is a relatively new ministry. It is determined to lend support in every way to all of our development objectives that we have identified. We want to make sure that there's further diversification of the economy out of sugar, which we would have determined was critically important back in 2004, 2005, when we closed the industry. We called in a team that was loaned to us, paid for by the World Bank at that time. They provided guidelines that we followed in order to transition from where we were to where we are today and going further. It looked at what workers would now need to do, in what areas they were to be trained, in what areas must our young children in school pursue in their formal education in order to achieve that goal that has been set, and on a goal on which we are continuing today. Healthcare, education, the social well-being of our people generally. Those are the specific mandates and pointers that my ministry would have been given in moving our country forward. And so I want to spend the next few minutes. How much time has gone? Have a lot more time? Please, thank you. I just want to spend a little time to look at what it is that we have set out to do in 2024. What has been achieved and what is now being set out to do in 2025 to achieve the overall goal of progressing our people to a brighter future, and in the process being innovative, inclusive, and with a high sense of sustainability in our minds in moving our country forward. So, firstly, looking at international trade, we wanted to make sure that we would build the capacity to pursue programs to realize the benefits from the CARICOM, or CARIFORM, I would say, UK EPAs, thus allowing businesses to better capitalize on export opportunities to distant lands. We've had a traditional history with the United Kingdom. They bought our sugar, our bananas, our rice in the past. So we have established trading links. How can we, now that the banana and sugar and rice not there anymore, how can we preserve these trading links, these trading pathways, by engendering new businesses and new products to enter those markets which we had already traditionally achieved. And so, building the capacity for exporting is critical for us. When this government came into being, small businesses, for example, was with this ministry. I advised that let small business get its own legs to stand on. Let it get the support that it deserves, not only to develop the local market, but to a point where it can eventually export to the export market. And so we have taken the first few baby steps, but they will become firmer, and they would be strident eventually as we move to that goal that we have set for ourselves. And so we have been concentrating on engaging with key partners, such as the Afrexim Bank. I've heard the Minister Prime Minister speak openly, often about Afrexim Bank. They are there to assist us to develop trading links and new products that they and we can trade together with. And so as a result of that, we are engaging with the Afrexim Bank, with UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization. We've brought them in virtually in at least 3 meetings, because we are concerned about the state of the manufacturing sector, the industrial estate. We have buildings there. I'm going to share with you, maybe I should do it now, how we have seen a deterioration in terms of the productivity and employment opportunities in the manufacturing sector. And that is why we have to lend support to the development and expansion of the small businesses. Use the technology. Use the technology and market your goods. You don't have to have no ships and no plane to get goods go. Go online. Sell what you have online. Because that's how it will be. In the past of having 500 people in Curtis Mattis and disassembling television parts, them gone. Day's done. We have to make sure that high tech is going to be the involvement of our people. That's what it has to be. And we have to have financing and training in that regard if we are going to make a difference. And so the Affexim Bank is saying, we have money here, we want to work with you guys. They've been talking to us. We want to set up this, set up that. You need to get going. We've engaged UNIDO, met them at the United Nations again. And we want to make sure that we understand what it is that our people have to do at this time. A few weeks ago, I went to India. Fellas then put me up with some wings on a plane. But I went to India for a reason. I went to India for a reason.
Fellas, that's story time.
Yeah, story time, yeah. You understand? I met a young man from the OECS, was here on a health mission, looking at the pharmaceutical industry and looking at how our hospitals are utilizing the pharmaceuticals that we purchase and so forth. India is the place that can help us in those regards. But after all, Douglas must know where you do. So if I go to India, it has to be a reason. And we have to make new friends. We are laying the groundwork, Madam Deputy, for foreign investments aimed at our own economic diversification, which is what this whole budget is about today. We want to make sure that we can advance our trading within the OECS territories, and so we are engaging our partners in the region so that we can have freer movement of our goods in the region. Consumer affairs, what we did in 2023, 2024, we've done quite a bit of market surveillance. We have come here and we have passed the Consumer Protection Act of 2023, so that there is now a more robust legal framework to protect our consumers' rights and to promote ethical business practices. There is also the Bureau of Standards. We have been able to achieve, up to this year, accreditation for air quality testing. And we have completed 104 tests to ensure public health and safety here at the workplace and in our homes. This is important because every little thing you sneeze, mold. I can't go work, I got mold. But you got more mold home by you than in work.
Same thing in Nevis.
You see what I mean?
Mold.
Yeah, everything is mold. So we are developing the capacity in the Bureau of Standards to be able to be fully accredited internationally for testing air quality. And we have been doing that to ensure that this claim, I'm not saying that people can't get sick from mold, but this claim of mold infestation and you can't walk and so forth and so forth, those are serious situations that are affecting the progress in some parts of the government, and we need to make sure that we protect our workers if there is mold, but at the same time, not encourage them to use this as an excuse for not producing. It's very, very important. We have also been developing our labs by getting new lab equipment, and we are partnering with several regional bodies to ensure that good manufacturing practices are being available to us. These accomplishments have set the stage, Madam Deputy, for an ambitious, transformative year of 2025. Looking at international trade priorities for 2025, Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, we want to ensure that we enter into appropriate strategic trade agreements for market expansions. We will make sure that there is a forensic review of the EU CARIFORUM and UK CARIFORUM EPAs, which will identify any actionable step for businesses in order to maximize their benefits. We are again revisiting the Brazil-Guyana Partial Scope Agreement. Remember when Lula was in office before? We had this arrangement where goods manufactured here would enter into the Brazilian market, and from Brazil it goes into the wider market with our goods here. Lula went out of power, he's now back, and we have started to revise that agreement, which was really a Brazil-Guyana agreement that we piggybacked on. And we are now getting into negotiations with regard to that. In fact, Ministry of Foreign Affairs is planning that early next year, we would have a trade mission to go into Guyana. Guyana is the new frontier. Everybody wants to go there for investment opportunities. And so we would want to go there to see how we can develop stronger links with Guyana, trading links, and also explore investment opportunities for businessmen in Guyana to invest here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We are also working on CARICOM-Colombia trade agreement. We would want to make sure that we are part of those negotiations which will take place early next year, so that again we widen our market with regard to trading in exported goods. We want to promote regional integration, and so we will continue to work with CARICOM and the OECS, focusing on the free movement of our goods to reduce trade barriers and operational costs. We understand that there's a shortage of cement, there's a shortage of concrete. We have to begin to look at how we can improve our own domestic production, and even where that may fail in terms that so much activity is taking place that we don't have enough being produced here, how we can make contact with friendly countries to invite them to trade in these products with us, because we must not in any way stifle the construction and economic activities that are to be derived when we pursue the objectives in this budget. Madam Deputy Speaker, We want to look at programs that will promote duty-free importation of regional products, directly contributing to reducing the cost of living for food and essential goods. We are concerned about that. The cost of living. The cost of living is of utmost concern to us. And here's where, Madam Speaker, I'm sure I'm going to visit it again, but in case I don't, here's where the government is almost at war with itself. The ordinary people, minimum wage, can't meet the cost of living for them. Prime Minister was kind. Let's do it in 2 steps. Minister of Labor, let's do it in 2 steps because we are concerned. We know what it is like. But we listened at the same time to the manufacturers and the retailers. And they say, hey, boss, if you do it now, we're going to have to pass it on to them, you know. So let's do it slowly and properly. Let us consult with each other. A whole team was put together by Labor Minister under Ambassador Condor and looked at how we must make sure that the cost of living is affordable to our ordinary people. And so we took a position. We will increase the minimum wage. But let us do it in 2 steps. We got a lot of abuse for not doing it one time. $500 it will be in this new budget. Yeah, because we are talking about cost of living issues. That is why we revisited the VAT. I was there, you know, I put it at 17. It was necessary then, but we can begin to tweak it because of the cost of living issues, because it's passed on to the consumer. And so we want to make sure, Madam Deputy Speaker, that we are able to work with our partners. Trinidad is breathing down my neck every meeting in Coated. Lord, last year you said that you're going to move the CET and so forth on our goods. But we have to wait until the environment is right here because it can lead to an increase in prices of goods. And that is how we have to do it. So the ministry is out there on the front line, making sure that the core matters of the ordinary people are being addressed, whether it is through finance, labor, tourism, whatever other ministry. We are at the front line to make sure that things are to be addressed properly as we hear what our manufacturers and our retailers are saying, and at the same time knowing the living conditions of our people. So that is going to be important. We are going to empower local manufacturers and exporters in this coming new year 2025. And this is going to be in alignment with what you've heard over the last few days, the 25 by 25 agenda, aimed at reducing food imports by 25% by the year 2025. We will make sure that we will build the capacity of our stakeholders. We will train them. We will prepare our citizens to reap the benefits from the CARICOM single market and economy, the CSME, including opportunities for skilled labor mobility and regional job markets. Guyana is opening up. It has opened up. I have a whole heap of oil down there now. They are looking for workers. I'm going there early. I will sit with the president and the relevant minister in what areas do you need skilled workers, and give our people opportunities to work there in different aspects, not only of the oil industry, but the associated economic activities with the oil. So building capacity is going to be very, very important. And Madam Speaker, these initiatives, they will demonstrate that trade will not only drive economic growth, but trade will ensure every citizen has access to opportunities in a diversified, resilient economy of St. Kitts and Nevis. What do we look for in 2025 for consumer affairs as we empower our citizens and protecting them? The Consumer Affairs Department will continue to play in 2025 a very critical role, ensuring that there's fairness, there's transparency and affordability in our marketplace. We will do so by, one, strengthening consumer legislation, giving notice to the AG now. We will want legislation to further strengthen the consumer who is to be protected and ensure that he is given his rights that are not to be infringed. We will have consultations, Madam Deputy, with landlords, yes.
You may continue.
Right. We will have consultations to make sure that we can implement landlord and tenant rights, ensuring fair and equitable rental arrangement. Too many people are saying how they are being ripped off by high rents. Wicked landlords, they call them. Not me. They call them so wicked landlords, they say. We have to make sure that they are protected. And that is one of the important pursuits of this ministry in the new fiscal year 2025.
Coming in 2025.
Beautiful. You see, I just say it and it don't happen. That's it. And that's how it should work. That's how it should be. We want to also have consultations to ensure a comprehensive competition policy. See, a lot of people say, you know, you must do something about the traders. But the modern thinking is that let there be competition. Let the consumer make his own choice. But if the consumer is not being given a choice because a guy or guys gang up and there's no competition among them, so all of them are doing the same thing, then we step in because that is wrong. And so we would want to make sure that we will have consultations to implement a comprehensive competition policy to prevent anti-competitive practices and promote fair business operations here in St. Kitts and Nevis. These are critical. All these address the cost of living issues. We're not doing anything in a vacuum. Everything is well coordinated. Well coordinated. Don't make no joke with us. We're serious here. Serious business is the people's business is serious to us. And that is why we have to make sure that this ministry leads in certain areas where it has been mandated to lead. We will address price gouging again. It is something that we continue to do. And so now I give a commitment that we will further advance legislation to combat price gouging during crises. A little flood somewhere, a little hurricane somewhere, Next thing, everything coming in, sky high. Can't work like that. So we have to make sure that we have the appropriate legislation to prevent price gouging during certain crises that can arise from time to time. And this will definitely safeguard the affordability of essential goods for all our citizens, especially those who are vulnerable. The vulnerable citizen in our country. The guy who has it hard. The woman with 5 children and they know whether or not she can feed them. We have to make sure that the prices are right. And we have to stamp out price gouging here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We will also empower consumers through technology. We have already all of the makings to put in place the SKN Shopper app.
Honorable Member, you have half hour remaining.
My God. We have to make sure that the SKN Shopper app is reintroduced that will allow citizens to access real-time price comparisons for essential products. They must be able to go online. What this supermarket selling for, what I want selling for, what I want selling for, and make a choice before they leave the house. I'm going to that one there because it's cheaper. We hear that St. Kitts people love brands. So even though the brand is more expensive, and even though the pocket is half empty, we're still going for the brand. Be wise, consumers. Take it from me, be wise. Look more than brand. Look at contents. Look at what it is that it's going to do to you. And if that is being fulfilled, go ahead. Pricing is important, yes, but don't fool yourself and go only for brands. Make sure that the price is right. Go online, look at the app. That is being sold for that, that is being sold for that, here and there, and you make a choice, we are going to go and buy. That's important. We also will make sure that we would have enhanced market surveillance. And weekly, we will have our people go out to look at goods as they are doing now. We've had some challenges of illnesses here and there, but we will make sure that the weekly surveillance of goods will continue with strict monitoring of safety, quality, and price trends. We will collaborate with agencies like the Bureau of Standards and the Customs Department to ensure that there is proper compliance with the law. Madam Deputy, through these efforts, the department will empower our consumers. We will empower our consumers here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We will hold our businesses to account. They must be held accountable. And we will promote fair and equitable marketplace in St. Kitts and Nevis, Madam Deputy. With regard to the Bureau of Standards, we want to ensure that quality and safety are paramount. And so we will continue to raise the national standards ensuring product quality, consumer safety, and global competitiveness. And we will do so by accreditation, and by testing capabilities. We will make sure that we achieve accreditation for chemistry and microbiology testing, enhancing the monitoring of our food and our water safety. We will make sure that the appropriate accreditation for metrology will be elevated so that we would have elevated testings with reliability and compliance with international standards. Just a few weeks ago, I looked at the resume for some of our young, bright kids leaving CFBC, applying to work in the lab. I'm amazed. Among them, you could see the future doctors. They're passing the exams in these subjects. And this is what we want. Young, bright people, knowing that this is a future for you. You can build a future, career. And we are ensuring that our lab can provide the environment and the groundwork for them to begin to get their first challenges and then go off to university around the world and get what they need. We want to make sure that we will enhance public health and food safety in 2025. We will look for the HACCP certification for seafood processing in collaboration with the Department of Marine Resources. And we will ensure that our local fisheries will meet the necessary global safety benchmarks. We will want to promote training and certification programs for our young people who are in the lab, and also for those who are in local businesses, because we believe that they can benefit definitely, and they can make use of the certification programs, which will then position them to access regional and international markets with regard to their products and the intellectual capacity as well. We would want to make sure that we can expand our services in Nevis. And there has been established a Nevis branch of the lab. It will bring critical services closer to the Nevisian community. Should have been built this year because we had a little setback, I don't know. Supposed to ask the guys over there. But we will have it definitely done in 2025. Money was there, everything. I don't know why it got delayed, but we will make sure it is done. And so that Nevis will have its own branch that will attain, after accessing the same standards and quality assurance and consumer protection that we are speaking about here today in this parliament. We will want to ensure that we can monitor environmental health more frequently and more completely in 2025. And the Bureau has been tasked to expand air quality testing and other environmental monitoring initiatives contributing to public health and environmental sustainability. Madam Speaker, the Bureau of Standards. Today, I echo for that Bureau, for the men and women who work there, their commitment to quality assurance, to enhance trust in our local products and support our nation's export competitiveness. Again, I emphasize, citizens, we are no longer 25 years back. We are going forward. And in going forward, we have to make sure that it is not the guy up there in the factory who is testing the sugar to see if it is well boiled and it's ready. No, it's more than that. It is using our labs, using the human capacity, the human resource that we have to ensure that as we diversify and as we go into new areas, we are doing so with the assurance of good quality and maintenance of people's health. So, Madam Deputy, this government's 2025 agenda, it is a deliberate one. It is a strategic one. And it is aligned with all of the goals of creating a sustainable island state. We can't get there without doing what I said we have to do. And we will get there we shall get there. We shall develop a sustainable island state, not only for the generation that is living now, but the generation of the future. We need to get to that stage. 1995, when we say we're going to look at the industry, sugar, and if we take the work, we're going to close it down. And we did. And look at where we are today. We are making critical decisions in our development. And we are now, 2025, making critical choices as to where we would be in the next 5 and 10 years from now. But it starts today. And we know that things may not necessarily be good for everybody. But I say that we shall get there. The vision for sustainability and resilience, Madam Speaker, that is what is going to happen as we move forward. We will have economic diversification. It will reduce our vulnerabilities to all the external shocks that we've experienced in the past, and we will create new pathways for growth and development. The trade agreements and the regional partnerships will open markets. They will empower local producers and low cost of living for our people. We have to take it in strides. It's not going to happen overnight. People talking about, oh, we need to diversify. Yes, we know that. That is why we are here. That is why we have this budget. It is a budget of diversification. Putting the platform in place so that we can move with regard to our diversification. We want our consumers to be empowered. And that is why we are saying that we will do what we say we will do, consultations, training, so that our citizens, our consumers are aware of what their rights are, where they can shop and where they're not supposed to shop because they've been ripped off or not. This is important as we move forward. And the Bureau of Standards will protect our public health and safety, raising the national profile of our goods and our services. We are on the right path, Madam Speaker. We are on the right path. And we will continue with our determination and collaboration to empower our businesses to compete globally. We'll make sure that our consumers are protected, and we will promote transparency. We will make sure that we can strengthen our standards to safeguard our health, our safety, and the quality of our products coming from St. Kitts and Nevis. And all this, we will be achieving the mission of creating a sustainable, inclusive, and much more prosperous St. Kitts and Nevis for all of our citizens. And that is why I say, let us seize the moment. Let us seize the moment now. I don't want to run out of time. I want to just simply say a few things specifically. Huh? Yeah, man. Sure. Are you going to give me another half an hour?
Of course. Of course.
Huh? Overridden. So, looking specifically at foreign affairs, what have we done in 2024? What are we going to do in 2025, specifically in foreign affairs? I want to just mention a few highlights. We have formalized our diplomatic relations with new countries, with Pakistan, Cape Verde, Palau, Lebanon, and Comoros. It's almost as if he knew what I was going to say today. Member for number 9, when he said a few days ago that we need to use our contacts, or we need to make more contacts with other countries. And we need to ensure that the power of our passport is continuously recognized by signing visa-free agreement. That's exactly what we're doing. And I must say, that is the path that we met. We ain't blot it out. We just continue on the path. He's right. Nothing wrong with that. You have to look at what you meet and make a decision. Make sense or not? Make sense, go. Make no sense, go. That's what we're doing. So he's right. And we have followed basically on that same path. We've made a number of diplomatic engagements and partnerships. We have signed visa waiver agreement, and he mentioned it just 3 days ago, Kazakhstan, which will now simplify our travel for our citizens. I have something here. This morning early, I was going through some papers, and I was surprised, shocked, that a number of African countries in particular. I mean, this is a letter that I have from Angola, where in September, Angola wrote us. And it says here, we want to establish diplomatic relations between both countries. We want to work in partnership to strengthen diplomatic relations with reciprocal advantages for the benefit of their respective populations. And they go on to say that if we would sign on this general agreement, we would have the benefit of technical, scientific, and economic and cultural cooperation with each other. It's a memorandum of understanding for the establishment of a bilateral political consultations. And there is visa waiver agreement in or on diplomatic and service passports for our citizens initially, and then we can look at tourists or visitors otherwise in the future. In other words, we are reaching out to our brothers and sisters around the world. We continue to strengthen our passport. Strengthen our passport. Because as the number of countries increase, that you don't have to apply for a visa to enter, that strengthens your passport. We're not in the business of practicing any illegality at all. None whatsoever. But we are in the practice of inviting people to visit us. We are inviting people to invest in our country. And if on investing in our country, we prove that you are a good man and your money is clean, we invite you to become a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. And if we invite you to become a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, and you happen to be a citizen of a country with which St. Kitts and Nevis has signed a visa-free agreement, visa waiver agreement, then you enter that country as a proud citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. We're not in the business of protecting crooks and criminals. That is not what we're doing. We are in the business of ensuring that if an investor would have come and he is a good investor judged by international standards, we invite him to be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. Live among us. Be with us. A lot of them complaining, however, I must say, so they can't get no bank account open. That is something that maybe we have to address. A lot of difficulties they're saying. Boss, I'm a citizen. They all invite me to, but bank ain't letting me open an account. These are some of the challenges that we have to work through as we protect our own image and at the same time, don't discriminate against the new citizen who has been invited to be part of us. These are some of the challenges that we have to work on. So we are doing that. We want to advocate for the SIS pillars, Sustainable Island State pillars. We do so by multilateral engagements, emphasizing climate resilience, renewable energy, and food security. We use foreign affairs to secure cooperation agreements with entities like the Cuban National Institute of Hydraulic Resources and Port Mariel Special Development Zone,
Honorable,
Sustainable Development Initiative.
Apologies, you have 10 minutes remaining.
10 minutes. I will wait until I get down to the 10, because I know I need to get more. We will make sure that the scholarships are available to our citizens, and we will continue to build our capacity. The more people that we have trained, the more countries that provide us financial support for training our students, the more we would embrace them as our friends. And I want to speak to Cuba in particular, because Cuba, despite the challenges it is facing, has never ever turned its back upon us since 1996 or thereabout, when our first set of students formally went down there. Cuba has had some difficulties in recent times. Hurricane, and it had some issues with power generation, etc., and distribution. We stand with Cuba because we believe that when a friend has stood up for you, even under great stress and strain, you should be able to stand up for your friend similarly under stress and strain. And we will continue to do whatever we can to enhance our relationship, but also to improve the quality of life for the people of Cuba. Not saying everything is dandy and rosy. Everything is not dandy and rosy there, neither here, nor anywhere. But we make the necessary sacrifices accordingly so that we can achieve together what we have set out to be our goals. And so scholarships and capacity building will be focused upon a new wave. Just 7 professionals graduated from Cuban institutions, thus strengthening our own human resource base here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Both islands, and that is what I love about it. Both islands are benefiting, and we are at one with regard to respect for the Cuban government and people. Humanitarian contributions. We have been very lucky in coordinating medical supply donations to Cuba. We're enforcing our solidarity with our regional partners. We want to make sure that as we rebrand and enhance our capacity, we would be able to do so with regard to what our missions and consulates overseas are doing. So recently, we've had our New York consulate, under the guidance of Her Excellency Ambassador Justin Henry Martin, has ensured the continued support for our diaspora in that part of the world. In fact, we have a young man who has been loaned to us from the Ottawa Embassy, Ottawa High Commission, who is now in New York, and he is acting head of our consulate there in New York. And that is a consulate that has been closed for a while, and we have been very lucky in getting it open in recent times. We've also had the benefit of chairing CARICOM Caucus of Ambassadors, and we have led advocacy efforts on Haiti's security. You know, that is a major problem that we have, that is Haiti. And St. Kitts and Nevis has led with its colleagues on a number of these issues pertaining to governance in Haiti at both the CARICOM and United Nations level. What is our strategic vision for 2025? We will continue to enhance our diplomatic relations. We will expand bilateral partnerships in Africa, in the Middle East, and we will continue to build on the relationships established back in 2024, that is this year. We are now looking to Angola, Benin, Malawi, the Ivory Coast. We are looking in Asia at Brunei and Thailand. We've appointed our High Commissioner in London. He's now also ambassador to Thailand. And this is what we're doing using the benefit of multiple accreditations and multiple appointments so that we can get our presence in these different countries fully established and functional. We will prioritize our regional integration within CARICOM and the OECS, advocating for free movement of goods and services, as I mentioned before. And let me just simply say in passing that we have been able to have the new CARICOM ambassador at the UN in the person of Ambassador Wade from Nevis, who used to work at the UN many years. And we have recommended her, and she has been successfully accepted, and she's now our ambassador at the UN. So representing not St. Kitts and Nevis anymore alone, but the whole of CARICOM. And that is very, very important. In continuing to promote our economic growth and investment, again, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is well into that. We are trying to invest to try to attract investments aligned with the sustainable island state pillars. Renewable energy. So you will find that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, apart from the line ministries, will be engaged in order to ensure that we can have the necessary investment in renewable energy. We are collaborating with the US and with our regional partners to advance geothermal energy projects and green initiatives. The member for Nevis 9, in his response, made mention of geothermal energy. You know, really, this is taking too long, and it is so critically important. This is something that was pursued aggressively. I remember going to a World Bank, IMF meeting, ended on the Friday. Myself and the financial secretary at that time, Janet Harris, on a Saturday, was called out by the Treasury Department, open up their offices and going through the outline as to how investment in the geothermal in Nevis is going to help all of us. We need to get that right. The longer we take, the less time we have to achieve our goals, or the longer it will take to achieve our goals, I should say. And we really need to get it right. I call on this Parliament to support in every way and to make sure that the right initiatives are being pursued so that the potential for fueling and energizing industry in St. Kitts and Nevis will come from investment in the geothermal energy resources in Nevis. It's very important. And we need to. It's a game changer. I agree with you. And we have to make sure that we can get that right. We have to put all of our energies to ensure that this is realized, whether it is with the Saudis, whether it is with the US, whether it is with the UAE, EU as well, wherever, let us reach and make sure we can get the necessary investment in moving forward. This is too important a matter for us. We will continue to strengthen, again, and promote economic investment in tourism. I want to commend the colleagues with regard, especially tourism, PM, etc., for the not Parker, what is the? Ritz-Carlton, sorry. Ritz-Carlton. The social media is skeptical. We have to prove it wrong, or prove them wrong. We have to just do what we have to do. Exactly.
Honorable Member, apologies, your time has ended.
While I'm on my feet, Madam Deputy, can I ask this Honorable House or ask you to conduct the necessary search for support for continuing?
The question is that the Honorable Member be given a further period not exceeding the 30 minutes to speak. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Right, so I think that we really need to make sure that we prove our skeptics and our critics wrong. Mind you, their criticism is important because it drives us to succeed. Isn't it so, Senator Philip? It drives us to succeed. And that is what we have to do. We have to take the criticisms in stride. I can make another announcement, but I will not. I will wait. Exactly. I will wait. It's big. I will wait because we need to make sure that things are on the move. It's there, it's happening before we raise people's pressures and then. So I support that. I will do everything I can in my capacity. I will reach with the right people. I will make sure I lobby so that the Ritz-Carlton is a success story for all of us. It is important that we move in this particular direction. And we will continue, whether it is in climate resilience, whether it is in tourism and creative industries, whether it is in renewable energy, we will achieve our sustainable island state, and we will seek the necessary investment from our friends and partners around the world to ensure that it happens. I want to say, Madam Deputy, that we are not doing this at all for ourselves. We are doing this for the benefit of our people. And in doing so, we want to make sure that our overseas missions are equipped to achieve our goals. We are now being asked to speak in international forums, share our own vision of what a sustainable country will look like, especially a small country. I had the opportunity to ensure that at the Berlin Global Dialogue in October of this year in Germany, and then shortly after, Senator Clark was there in Germany as well, sharing what our own perception is of a sustainable island state and inviting people to assist us. I had the opportunity just a few weeks ago in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, to participate in the International Investment Forum in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. And I was able to sit with just both of us in a session, the Minister of Investment in Saudi Arabia and myself on a panel, speaking to our experiences in terms of investment of our countries. Saudi Arabia and we, the smallest in the Caribbean and maybe nearly the smallest in the world. Sharing exactly what is the role and functioning of our skipper, that is our investment promotion agency. Making sure that people understand the process that needs to be followed in attempting to make investments in St. Kitts and Nevis. We wanted to make sure that they understand that there are some challenges and asking again for investment in these critical pillar areas: energy, water, agriculture. As the minister tends to say, if you solve energy, you solve everything else. Because you're going to get water. You get agriculture.
You solve energy, you solve water, you solve
everything.
You solve food.
Everything. So this is critical, and that is the message. No matter where we go, no matter which ministry, that is the message that we must always carry. One message, one song, and we will eventually overcome. We are collaborating on different fronts. Looking at what we've achieved in our mission at the London office, we received last year, this year, £125 million as an investment window through the UK Economic Fund Facility. And this is to enable both public and private sector projects to be financed. We had a team came here from the UK Parliament before they got wiped out. That is the Conservative government. But before they went out, that money was placed there for us to access. £125 million as an investment window. All they ask for is that whatever you're doing, at least 5% must be used to buy British goods and services. This is what we mean by reaching out, using our High Commission in London to reach out to the right people to do that. We want to thank Taiwan as well, Taiwan Embassy, for the strengthened ties and the investment potential that Taiwan holds with us. Energy, desalination. We started on our own, and they said we want to join you. That is how it must be. We must make sure that our friends, our partners, are aware of what we are doing. And we must not be afraid to ask for their collaboration and support in achieving this agenda that we have set for ourselves. And so we want to thank the Taiwanese ambassador. I want to thank the distinguished ambassador, Ambassador Lin, who is here, for the leadership that he's provided in moving forward. Before I end, of course, I would like to say a few words about the Whitegate Development Corporation. But before I do that, I want to emphasize again that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Economic Development and Investment, and Trade and Industrial Commerce, Consumer Affairs, is geared towards one vision, the vision of the future starting now. The future is now. The vision of the future starting now. And this ministry will continue to play its role, Madam Speaker, to achieve these ends. We will implement our 2025 agenda. We will focus on creating more partnerships that will deliver tangible benefits through new investment projects for the benefit of our people. We will continue to enhance our own national capacity. Morocco went there earlier this year, sat down with the ambassador, Ambassador Quealy, thank him a lot for what he's doing. And we were able to expand the scholarships that Morocco was offering. I have here, Madam Speaker, the roadmap of cooperation between the Kingdom of Morocco and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis for the period 2024 to 2026. The last one was signed in 2022. And, Madam Speaker, it outlines what we requested of the Moroccan Kingdom to advance our country, to attain sustainability and inclusivity that we have taglined for ourselves in this budget. 30 scholarships, 6 of them a few weeks ago set off to Morocco to do medicine. 6. Human resource investment is important if we are to attain what we have set out to achieve in this budget. We must train our people. And this new cooperation agreement with Morocco, providing 30 scholarships, and it hurts my heart when people ain't taking them up. 30. Yes, 30. I begged them for 30. They said, look, you had 20 before. I said, man, we need 10 more. And people ain't take them up. We have to understand, we have to say to our young people, the opportunities are being created for you. You will change the world. You will change St. Kitts and Nevis. We are making the investment in you to change the future of our country. You, our young people, you are the ones who must carry the torch forward as we try to stabilize things at this level for you to rise high and soar high in the future. You, our young people, you are our future starting as of now. In every university or college around the world, Madam Speaker, I would want to know that there is a Kittitian division right there. No longer just simply studying traditional agriculture, but he must be able to be studying agriculture that is technologically supported and enhanced. That's what we are doing. This is what the government is doing. All of us, I'm sure, I smile because I said all of us, I hope, are from poor backgrounds. Look at this room. Where have we come from? Thank God for labor. If we did not get that assistance, we couldn't have been here today. And we have a duty to make sure that the support is expanded so that more of our young people will be included and we will be able to have a safe and secure and progressive sustainably developing country, St. Kitts and Nevis. We want equitable investment, inclusive investment, sustainable investment for our development in the future. Madam Speaker, I just wanted to say a few things about Whitegate, which will then get me down into my own area. And I want to thank the board, the new board that's been in place nearly 2 years, chairman and the directors, and the CEO, who has been a stabilizer and a stabilizing force there, and the staff, small staff, and the stakeholders with whom we have been working over the years. The vision of Whitegate still looms large in our minds. We've had some setbacks. The vision of Whitegate included a number of activities which are really plans for the short-term to medium-term development of about 2 square miles of the island of St. Kitts on the northwestern tip of St. Kitts. I want to thank the Cabinet for just a few months ago approving the strategic plan, 2024 to 2028 strategic plan for Whitegate development. Again, revisiting the vision of transforming the Whitegate development area into a diverse, vibrant, and inclusive economic space. In fact, we have been able, in revisiting, to pay close attention to what has been described as the Sustainable Island State Agenda, CISA, having paid very close attention to the National Development Planning Framework of St. Kitts and Nevis for the years 2023 to 2037. Very similar a path that we took when we closed the sugar industry and wanted to plan for the development in the future, the development of the country in the future. We had the adaptation strategy report that guided our development. The potentials are in education. Therefore, expand the investment in education. We called in Ross University. We said we wanted to expand. They said, well, if we're going to expand, we need dorms of our own rather than relying on the dorms that we have because it's not enough. And we said, take some land for dorms. Sold them some land for dorms. Because their demand was now beyond what we were able to provide by our own local homeowners. And soon, education services was contributing between 15 and 20% of GDP. In other words, we had a plan. We targeted those civil servants or those regional civil servants at the central bank, encouraged them to buy land, build a house. Because once you build a house, you're going to go back to St. Lucia or St. Vincent. You're going to live here. And that is a pool of people that was already highly educated, and a lot of them were professionals. In other words, you target people based on your development strategy. And that is why, as I said, looking at the Whitegate, which has not really realized all that we would want it to realize over the period of time, we have a new strategic plan 2024 to 2028, approved by the Cabinet in July of this year. And it sets out the roadmap for realizing our vision of transforming the Whitegate area into a diverse, vibrant, and inclusive economic space. And this is in alignment with the Sustainable Island State Agenda and with several United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, including 3, 8, 13, 16, and 17. You can research them. Our revised mission statement reflects this vision. Quote, make the Whitegate development area an economically diverse, strong, inclusive, equitable, and vibrant place to live, work, and visit, end of quote. We have some key developments that are taking place in some projects. We have the Brotherson Estate. Just was built several years, but never really unveiled. And so in November, this last month, we had an exercise to unveil and showcase and explain to people what this landmark project feature is, which is really a feature of 66 home sites and 3 commercial lots, offering a mix of 2, 3, and 4 bedroom designs. This is part and parcel of the investment that we are pursuing in 3 square mile area of St. Kitts and Nevis. How much more time?
You have 10 minutes remaining.
It is adorned with green spaces. It has beach access, retail amenities. There is development that is reflected of modern, sustainable living, and it is projected to sell out within 5 years' time. Then we have the Hilden Estate Hotel. We have the Ramada by Windham, situated there. The second phase of Ramada, that is building, can't remember how many rooms, but phase 1 had 200 condos and villas. And phase 2, as I said, is now being completed, maybe with another 100 plus rooms, etc. We also have in the area, we encourage community engagement. For example, the Festival de Capistaire. And we are very pleased that in that area, Whitegate Development Area, we now have the Ministry of Tourism has taken over the Eco Park that was built by the Taiwanese for us. And you heard from the minister herself earlier this week when she spoke how they have ventured deeper into the countryside, deeper into the rural parts of St. Kitts, where people can experience what really has been the development of our people, the folklore that would have arisen from the traditional estates and the social challenges that people lived. She spoke, of course, of Queenie Well, where young man may be jealous, throw his wife down into a well. And that has become part of the folklore of that particular area. In other words, we want to ensure that it is accessible for all to enjoy. We speak of the importance of the Belmont Sanctuary, that is Kitishan Hill, and Arthur's Restaurant, which are important features of the Kitishan Hill resort development. We have not realized all that was to be realized with Kitishan Hill. It is still there, and we hope we would be able to attract investment, the right investors to embrace it, love it, and pick up from where it is to realize the potential that it is. Planned initiatives for 2025 and beyond in the Whitegate area. We will have some infrastructure development. The Deep Bay Fisheries Complex, including waterfront infrastructure for inter-island travel and commerce. Number of big hotel developers love that area. I will not say much more, and we will wait to see what materializes. We will collaborate with the government on additional road networks to reduce travel time between the Whitegate area and Bastia. Of course, we have asked the Whitegate Development Corporation to make lands available for housing. Or people need housing. People in that area. I noticed Senator was inviting people to come into the area and enjoy what is the rural.
There's lots to offer. I know that.
Exactly. I'm sure you would. And so we still are saying that the area holds the potential for great development to enhance our people's livelihoods. I have a commitment from this cabinet that the Deep Bay Fisheries Complex will eventually be built. Japanese have identified the site, and again I say, do something. Otherwise, I will do something. Do something. Because we want the area developed. Sadler's, Lavington, it has been identified for a mixed-use park development, 5 minutes. And so, a community empowerment, sustainability and resilience in terms of development, enhanced connectivity are some of the important features which will identify and characterize the development in the Whitegate area. We will strategically focus on agriculture, on tourism, on education. We still believe that the secondary school there in Sadler's should be what it was intended to be, skills mixed with academic pursuit in terms of the curriculum. We believe that it is still well placed to receive a technical college using that school as the focus and bring new investment and economic activities to the area. We would make sure that safety and accessibility are available there. We will have a new financial strategy that will be sustainable so that we would want to limit operational cost increases to no more than 3% annually, and thus really achieve what we have identified to be a critical part of our own economic development strategy and achieving our goals of innovation, inclusivity, and sustainability in our way forward. We want finally to emphasize for national economic development and investment the big pictures that we painted 10, 15 years ago of physical connectivity between St. Kitts and Nevis. If that is possible, and that is going to enhance our future development, let us go after it. Opening up the hinterland so you can move from the airport in Bastia down to Capistier in 10 to 15 minutes with a highway. That will open up opportunities for agriculture, especially the new cannabis industry and other food crops that we are talking about. The vision for Whitegate development is, in fact, the vision, the micro vision of the overall national development for St. Kitts and Nevis, as included and demonstrated in the budget for 2025, a budget of innovation, inclusivity, and sustainability in mapping our way forward. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.